Welcome everyone to Hong Kong. We have Magnus Carlsen taking on FM Jonathan Chen. This is the FIDE World Blitz Team Championship. Magnus with a massive rating of 2869, while Jonathan has a rating of 2007. Jonathan is the founder and president of Kindness on Board Foundation. They have teamed up with FIDE on their Infinite project and Chess Infinity project, and together they've created the team Kindness on Board Infinite team, where they help neurodiverse kids. And it's amazing that the team has traveled all the way to Hong Kong here to play, and Jonathan has got a chance to play the GOAT, Magnus Carlsen. He opens the game with pawn to d4, and Magnus plays the Dutch defense. Wow. Knight to c3, a very aggressive decision by Jonathan, and he goes for bishop g5. Magnus plays d5, controlling the e4 square, pawn to e3, and e6, building up the stone wall structure. h3 played with the idea of g4 perhaps at some point, bishop e7, and Jonathan gets his knight out to f3. Black castles. Magnus has this weakness on the e5 square, but he just wants to play something different. Knight e5 played by Jonathan, and knight d7, immediately challenging the knight. Now you can take on d7. You don't want black to be taking and then you take back with the pawn when the square on e5 is no longer weak. So, but he goes bishop d3, and I think Magnus can just take and play his knight back to d7. Magnus is thinking a bit here, and he takes it. Knight e5, de, and knight to e4 played. He could have also gone d7. He goes knight e4, attacking the knight on c3. Also the bishop is hanging, so bishop takes bishop, queen takes e7. Now a tricky moment here for Jonathan. He castles, allowing black to spoil his structure, but if you take, c4 will come up soon, and then it's not so easy, that position. Let's see if Magnus takes on c3 or not. I think Jonathan has done a great job. He's kept his time on the clock. Takes, pawn to c5, and now black would want to get c4 and clamp down these pawns. So I think white playing c4 is a must, and I think Jonathan will play it. It's one of those moves which you play. Yes, good move. Rook d8, quickly played by Magnus. But look at this. You can take on d5, ed, and push your pawn to f4, getting a protected passer. But taking on d5, not an easy decision, because you give black two very powerful pawns. Also c4 would be coming in. Not so easy to assess that position. So Jonathan goes queen e2, but makes a mistake, and Magnus immediately finds this amazing move. If you take on b5, I have c4. If you take on d5, I have c4. That's just brilliant. A genius move, I must say. b5. And I think Jonathan didn't see that coming. He now has a very tough choice on what to do. I think one idea could very well be to take on d5, c4, and d6. But instead he goes queen f3. And his point is, after takes, he wants to take with the bishop. Oh, that's a smart move here by Jonathan. He's attacking this rook on a8, and he's going to save his bishop. Wow. That's a great one. Okay, the downside is that black has this very nice structure. Queen c7 played, attacking the pawn here. So there's no good way to defend that pawn, because if you play queen f4, then I'll simply take, and if you move the bishop, I'll take on e5. So that's the reason why Magnus's queen c7 was a great move. Bishop e2, queen takes e5. You win an important pawn. Now c4, again striking at the center. Jonathan is not going to give up this game easily. He's fighting. Bishop b7, and now can we go rook a b1, attacking the bishop on b7. Yeah, he plays rook a b1, bishop to c6 played by black. And how should white get some play here? Rook c1. He's eyeing the c5 pawn. Rook c8 defends it. Pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes d5. And Magnus goes here for the queen trade. Takes. Magnus is a pawn up. Whether it's easy or not to convert this remains to be seen. He takes the pawn on a2. But now bishop, rook a1 and take this on a7 is the idea. For example, think about it. Rook a1, if rook d2, there is rook takes and bishop c4. Very nice tactic. But rook b7 is not a great move because a5 and all of a sudden white is the one who's in big trouble here. Now can't get the pawn, and if you play rook a7 now, I simply go rook a8 and my a pawn is much stronger than my c pawn. Jonathan goes bishop c4 down to 16 seconds. e6 is weak. Takes, rook takes, and now rook d4, offering a trade of rooks. The rook comes back to c3. Magnus pushes the pawn. He's flowing now. If only the rook could somehow enter to the d7 or c7 square, but it's not so easy. King f1, rook d3, step by step he's pushing his opponent back. Jonathan now takes, pawn takes, king e1. He's bringing his king in quickly, but now can we go to the 7th rank with rook c2? Yes, rook c2 cutting the white king off. I guess rook a7 defends, attacks this, but he lost on time. And Magnus Carlsen scores a very nice win. I absolutely loved the move b5 where it was played by Magnus, but Jonathan Chen, well, he gave a good fight to Magnus, and I think at the end of the day he'll be happy with what he played here.
Freedom begins with a choice. In 2008, we made ours. Freedom knows no borders. Step by step, we became part of the global financial system. In 2019, we went public on NASDAQ. In 2024, we built a digital ecosystem. Fintech, lifestyle, telecom, everything comes together in one unified digital space. Today, freedom is a system that shapes markets. $2 billion in annual revenue, $9.3 billion market capitalization, 11 million customers, 11,300 plus employees, 230 offices worldwide. Freedom begins with a choice, and every day we make it again. Freedom Holding Corp. One ecosystem, many possibilities.